Good time
Hey, I hear
zone,
myself.
everyone. In theory, we are live.
Yeah, I can hear us on the stream. It's all sounding good. I caught the good time zone, everyone.
We we should probably warn users that. I should get on. Hold on, Discord needs a stream too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch him on Discord, I think.
Let me turn that on. I was going to
Hey,
say
everybody.
we can warn people to tell us if our mic levels are off.
Oh yeah, we're gonna chat for a bit, folks, and there's three of us. And if you hear on Twitch or Discord that one person's louder than the other, etc., please let us know. Dan is the one with the deep hostage negotiator voice. I'm the person with the stuffed up, not coronavirus illness voice. And Josh is the hot one. I know you can't tell from his voice, but
Oh, you can tell.
oh, there he is. That's him.
That suave British accent.
Oh right, he's British. That's a better way. That's a better way to do it.
Right. Oh, Ben says we can tell. Damn, thank you. You can
Wow.
tell that I'm British. Amazing. British, innit? Yeah. You just remove the T from all the words you ever want to say, and then.
Ours too, I think, right? Or is that just Boston?
Yeah, you don't want to be confused. If it's just ours, it's Boston.
I always thought Boston's accent was a derivative of Old English, and then the English have moved on.
That makes sense. Like the Brahmin accent or whatever.
Yeah.
Like right off the boat.
Hey, we're getting some first-time chats from people. That's good.
Hey everybody.
Woo!
New people.
Or
I'm
ow.
assuming have been brought in by Splat and Bikeman.
Yeah.
Assuming.
Yeah, thank you, Splattercat and Bikeman, for those major attention grabs. I think we have a lot of new eyes as a result of those streams. Tommy just wants Josh to talk. Everybody be quiet and just let Josh talk.
Okay, all right. We get that all the time. We'll chat to Josh and he'll do our voices.
All right.
Oh man, can you imagine a whole stream of just me doing your voices? Oh.
One day.
Are you guys picking up my Discord noises? Do I have to turn that off? Or is it just me that hears them?
You may have to enable streamer mode in Discord if you know what that is.
I've heard such things
If you
spoken
go
of.
into settings, and then it'll be in app settings, I think, right at the bottom of app settings. If you see that, it's like the third
streamer mode.
grouping.
Enable.
And then that way, people on Twitch won't get all the bling bling.
I was certainly getting a lot of it too, so I figured I'd ask. Can somebody kind of monitor the Twitch chat in case I
I've got
miss it?
Twitch up and I've got the.
I got it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I've got just the edge of the chat visible in my screen. I'm not sure if I can catch it.
We'll if somebody asks a question, we'll read it out to you. You can just worry about playing and talking.
You just worry about not crashing, Dan.
Yeah, don't crash. Be humiliating. You made the game and you crash.
So I'll get started on a game here, but for those of you with us, we're thinking today we're going to focus on a few of the newer things since, God, it was probably like September or October the last time we did one. So that'll be things like the Gig Nexus, the running a few of the jobs there. We have lots of graffiti to show off. I'll pop that open now, in fact.
Should we introduce ourselves real quick?
No, they know who we are. I'm kidding. You're right. So I am Dan Fedor. I run Blue Bottle Games, and I used to work on Neo Scavenger. Now I'm working on Astronauts.
I'm Corey Arnold. I'm a writer and I guess like technical designer on Ostranauts.
Hi, I'm Joshua, and I do a little bit of community stuff, a little bit of programming, a little bit of everything.
Art, you do some art.
We definitely like wearing multiple hats in this
Yes,
in
and
this
I
team.
literally have multiple hats now. Physical hats.
And Polish Yoshi says, "I'm Joshu, the hot voice." We really did just hire him for the voice. We weren't going to, and then the phone interview just turned the tables. So
Yeah, I see someone in Twitch
Cameroons.
saying,
Yeah, they picked it
yeah.
up after the Splattercat video. Ticked every box. Amazing depth already. Thank you, Cameroon. We're gonna try to deepen it even more in the next year.
yeah, watching, like, it's always useful to see streamers, whether they're big or small, play the game and kind of see it through their eyes, because a lot of the times we know what to expect. We jump through things without noticing the details because we've been looking at it for so long. So big thanks to everyone who's streaming the game. A lot of streamers have been on it lately, but especially since Splattercat sort of broke the seal or opened the dam. What are we feeling like for a character today?
Yeah,
Lola
we
Hampton?
always ask the chat for a name.
We always ask and then everybody gets stuck. But what if this time we randomized the look and then we name
Right,
and then,
yeah.
then we named the character. You know what I'm saying? Like we do a she her and randomize it and then come up with a name or he whatever the pronouns, I don't care. But
So it's currently she her, and I randomized it as Gloria Gonzalez.
no, I mean the face. Randomize the face and then we
Oh,
named it.
name it based on what it looks like?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'll do 3 randoms. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I'm just gonna move her around a little bit so you can see her eyes through that smudge on the mirror.
Interesting. Gloria is not bad actually here.
I feel like Gloria's hair would be up more.
Let's change her hair then. We're allowed to do that.
You know, if only I could change the hair.
Hey!
That's up already.
That is definitely
That's so up.
Let's see. I'm thinking more like, that's
the ponytail thing. Is
I
there
would-
like a? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay, let's do that. She looks like
Alright.
she's on Broad City or something. So
Yeah. Did you want to talk about the graffiti here? Cyrus is probably in here lurking around.
Yeah, Cyrus
yeah.
is in the chat.
Cyrus
yeah.
is the graffiti. I think 90% of the graffiti you see here is something we had Cyrus whip up for us, including the stickers. Josh did a couple of them as well, and Josh did the system for the graffiti. So all of the dirt, fabulous dirt, grime, and graffiti you see on the screen is thankfully from those two. So now I want to put it everywhere. So expect to see more dirt and grime in the game.
If it's not clear, if you haven't played a few games, the graffiti and dirt and scratching and stuff is all procedurally placed and generated, so it'll look different every time you play, including those like mirror scratches and stuff, and the stickers on top of the mirror, and the same thing goes for all the kiosks and stuff. So we're hoping to kind of do a little bit of minor environmental storytelling here and there with that stuff. We sent Cyrus a brief about like the world and what happens in it, and Cyrus cooked up a bunch of cool little nods to some of the parts of the world. In fact, there's even some spoilers in there probably, if you guys want to really.
I guess
mine
that's true.
lore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if we're lucky, we'll figure out a way to make that moddable too, so that people can throw their own tags and stickers and stuff in.
That's a good idea.
Right now, it's all kind of internal art, but well, I could take the expensive, nice ship, or do we want the little tin can?
We should take the expensive one, because don't we plan on running a couple jobs in the tin can before we start working on ship?
Sorry, did you say take the expensive one and then the tin can?
No, take the expensive one because we plan on running a couple jobs before we get salvage, right?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So I'll take this one.
Yeah, I think.
All right, we got a mortgage to pay now, folks.
Oh boy.
All right, let's just do a quick psychological evaluation. Brave, charismatic, gregarious, leader, slow metabolism, patient. I think I'm going to get rid of unfit because I don't want to get winded every time I'm prying a door open.
I always get rid of unfit. I always get rid of feeble.
I was Fight Club, so I don't have to worry about that problem.
Nice.
So I think I've got a decent personality loadout here. I should be able to talk to people. Maybe I should get one more in case we get like a honeypot job, though. I'm going to get rid of slow metabolism maybe and cash that in for lustful.
So some people maybe ask about this, but this list here is populated based on your career at the start, right? So if you go through the Fight Club, you get well, I guess what do you get? You get Masochist or something. And if you you can gain basically these sort of skills through the career, and then in addition to that, we let people customize here in this kiosk just because we just want to give people the range they need or want.
Yeah, we'll have to see, like, the way it works now. Some people have pointed out some flaws with it, which I can kind of agree with. It feels a little wishy-washy to be able to undo your history, but yeah, I don't want to railroad somebody into a character they hate playing, and then they have to like quit out of the game and start again and do all that annoying stuff. So
Right.
we'll have to think about that one. But upcoming here, actually, all of these ones and minus ones are going to be a little bit more varied because some of these definitely weigh more than others. Like comedian is a big one, just because it gets you out of a lot of conversations.
Yeah, Dan basically did a balance pass on all those skills a couple days ago. So some of them will be like -3, I think, even, or +3.
Yeah, kind of like Neo Scavenger was. The ones that show up the most in the game they have a higher score attached to them. All right,
Got a couple of questions on the Discord chat. Hopefully we'll get to all of them eventually, but Verlomi asks, it would be nice to have more information on these positive, negative parts of character creation, and to be something that you can improve as you play. I personally like the idea that we can sort of gain new stuff as we play, right? Like, from experience, that'd be cool.
I think it's possible because in Neo Scavenger that was not the case, or very very close to not being the case. In this game, I could see it maybe being the case if like you train up in a skill, you get the skill, or if like you get crippled or something, you get a new physical trait. So I wouldn't say no to that, but currently you can't get new skills through gameplay.
Yeah, to the other point, though, I do think probably we'll put some tooltips on that screen so people know what it means, what unfit means or what comedian means.
Or more detailed, you mean?
Yeah, does it already have tooltips? I don't even
It's
know.
just a verbal tooltip. It's like a one-liner that tries to describe what it does, but it doesn't really say mechanically what it does. So.
Yeah, I think
mechanically.
Mechanically is what people are interested in.
Another question on the Discord. Why do all the natives of Ganymede have insomniac? What's the lore reason for that?
Because there's no circadian cycle on K-Leg. You're basically like you're not getting day-night cycles in 24 hours like you would on Earth, even if they turn the lights on and off. Plus, gravity is lower. Basically, you're living in an environment very unlike what your body's designed for, so you don't sleep well.
Yeah, our world is quite recent to. I mean, this is one thing that separates Ostranauts from other things, including the Expanse. Although we think about the Expanse a lot, is it's actually quite recent to the beginnings of space travel and colonization. Like, this is new to everyone. Like, you could meet people who were raised on Earth before the catastrophe, and being in space is recent to their life. And then you can meet people who were born on a colony, because it really is like, what, 30 some odd years since the ablation cascade.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point being, our bodies haven't evolved to match what's going on out in space. Not even like hastily in the way they have in the Expanse for like the miners, the belters.
So I think we're gonna hit K-Leg first, see if we can get ourselves a job or a gig, and then maybe depending on the gig, where it is and stuff, we'll either salvage a little bit on the way there, or maybe just go straight for the gig target.
I guess for brand new players here, we got the big rock there is the teal thing. That's
Oh yeah.
1036 Ganymede. That's an asteroid.
Oops. That was a little too far.
On which there's a little colony. You can explain it, Dan, because I need to clear my throat.
Yeah, I was going to zoom out a bit and show this is kind of a perimeter of what we're eventually going to make the no-wake zone. So you're not allowed to use your nuclear torch within that perimeter because you could kill people, irradiate them, or destroy a colony. Anyway, K-Leg is an asteroid that is in inner solar system transitory orbit here that goes kind of between Earth and Mars's orbit. And then we go further out, we see the outer planets, and even further out there, the trans-Neptunian and Kuiper Belt stuff. But yeah, this game takes place in our solar system in a near future scenario where space travel between Earth and the rest of the solar system has been cut off because the orbital space around Earth is filled with debris from cascade ablation. And right now sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Just people are asking about if there's going to be territories that aren't under control of Iotimua, and like Iotimua is just the sort of K-Leg region, and you know all the other planets and have got their own. Well, they'll have their own sort of factions and people in control. So it's not just like one government. It's very scattered.
Yeah.
The situation.
Basically, there's a mix of corporate and sort of transnational control, but mostly corporate. And Iotimua just happens to be the one that took over this rock through the Nigerian government, basically, with the Nigerian government, I should say. So yeah, Iotimua is very much an OKLG local space corp, but you know they might have a little bit of presence somewhere else. You know, in the same way that like Honda has a really strong presence in Japan and like a pretty strong presence in America, but probably less of a presence in. Well, I don't know about Honda these days, but you know what I'm saying. Like it will vary. But yeah,
you don't go to Cupertino and flash your Microsoft credentials because the Apple boys will jump on you, that kind of thing.
There you go. But yeah, IO is like, well, let's just put it this way: the strongest IO presence is on 1036 Ganymede, and there are much bigger corporations that you'll be dealing with once you leave OKLG local.
Yeah, and. Yeah, the forces at work in the solar system are much larger than Iotimua.
Oh yeah.
You know, Xinhua and U.S. still have a presence up there. There's still a Russian mining colony out there, a few others as well. So,
Ojisos is probably the big dog in terms of the corporations.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
You don't have a ship if you don't have Ojiso's registry basically backing it. So. I forget, was this in the last stream we did? The new art from Charlie for K-Leg?
I think it may have been, but I don't think we dwelled on it.
But we can gaze upon it one more time anyway. So. Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, just to sort of answer a few more questions in the chat. So in terms of what we're doing at the moment is we are building out the K-Leg space to figure out the systems and how it works. We've got a lot of the lore already, and if you want to read up more on the lore specifically, then you can go to our website.
BlueBottleGames.com.
Thank you, Dan. We've got a lot of that planned out already, but in terms of what you'll find in the game at the moment, it's just the K-Leg system that we've really built out. You could theoretically go to Earth, but you wouldn't necessarily find anything there yet, because unless someone had crashed from K-Leg and spun all the way out to Earth by accident. But there's not like deliberate stuff built there yet. I mean, but that is coming. We do want you to be able to go to other places. We did think about this a lot, didn't we? Like, in theory, it could just be around K-Leg, and I think we discussed that before. But eventually, we've realized we need to go to other places, right?
Yeah, it was originally meant to be a system-wide game that would visit all of the planets. But as we developed K-Leg, we're like, there's so much going on here. We could probably make a whole game around K-Leg. And that'll be, like any game, I guess, that'll be a decision that we end up wrestling with, is we could either put a ton of content in a small space or a ton of content in a very large space. Like, the amount of content we can make is basically limited by how much time and people we have. So it's just a matter of what's the right balance of spreading that content around. And I think we've decided we'll have probably too much content for K-Leg, more than we would need. But I bet some people will still feel the system is a little bit light on content by the time we're done. I think we can fill out some areas of it, though, so that they all feel kind of warm and cozy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when we decided to, as we've decided to put other systems in, I really think the feeling we're attached to is not necessarily like, oh, we need more content. It's more like the feeling of leaving one system and doing long range space travel to another one is just so important to our world and experience, to just like load up your ship with a bunch of water and food and like, okay, I'm going on a 2-week trip, you know, like that's really the feeling we want to have, and then have like some things happen on the way. And we couldn't really pull that off if we were just doing OKLG local space.
Yeah, that
Suppose
sort
we
of
could do
Oregon
RCS
Trail.
travel. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that provisioning for the long journey ahead, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you want to cover all your contingencies.
Caulk your ship and float across the black hole.
That's right. Die of space cholera.
There's a question about legitimizing ownership of our vessel.
Oh yeah, we talk about that a lot.
Yeah, so that's going to be a thing. It's not the next update, but it's going to be a couple of updates down the line. We definitely want there to be the ability to buy things, to sell them, and also at the moment people just sort of let you have the derelicts that you take, but eventually that's going to be a bit more of like a problem. You're going to have to do a bit of hacking or creative problem solving to, show
ownership.
To show ownership, even if you don't technically own it because you haven't bought it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, just to be clear, in the future we're planning to add buying and selling of ships and closing out mortgages, not just items. And yeah, we'll have to kind of deal with the whole OGZO's registry and like who owns your ship and what is ship ownership. Right now it's a little bit flaky. You can kind of walk on and off of ships and take them as you want.
Oh, before we leave the concept of like other areas and stuff, since there are new people here, just to clarify our development pattern. Another reason we're working just in OKLG space is the stuff we're doing right now like takes longer and is a little bit harder than just building out content. We're like building out entire systems, like job system, social system, all that. And then once all that stuff's done, it's actually not that difficult to stamp out more content. At least it happens faster. So the hope is once we get everything in OKLG sorted, we can stamp out content, in a couple months. But we'll see.
It's like we're building the scaffolding, and then we're just going to be able to take everything we learned in position A and put it into position B. By the way, I'm going to take this gig. This is like a puddle jump across the station to drop off a used license.
Should we talk about this since maybe people haven't seen this system?
Yeah,
sure.
We should go into it.
Well, so this is basically a way to make money on the station. And this is actually a good example of a job you would take if you don't have your docking fees covered and you can't undock again. So in a way, this is kind of like an escape valve for people who get painted into that corner. Because you can take this job. This has no cost to take. And then it's a delivery from one part of the station to the other. What we would have to do is we would have to take this used scavenger license to the drop-off locker on K-Leg's commercial district, put it in there, and then basically punch our card in the gig machine there to get paid out. And if we do it fast enough, we can get up to $2,000. But that is... What it says here is we have to do this job within 2 minutes and 40 seconds to get the minimum payout, and we have to do it within 20 seconds to get the maximum payout. So this is like the
Run!
bike courier in New York City job.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to bare metal run it, but I'm going to run it pretty quick.
The Gig Nexus system. Oop. Oh yeah, you're good. The Gig Nexus system here is. Oh no! Get out of the way!
Get out of my way!
The Gig Nexus system here, we think about like the sort of like ultimate dystopic end of labor, where you're paying to take jobs, so that ensures the kind of like person offering the labor on their end, and then it's like you're making an investment in your own work, and then eventually you get paid out for it, which is not so different than how a lot of like courier stuff works now, including I don't know, Uber, any of these kind of like labor aggregators, because you got to buy your own car and things like that. But this is just that system ultimately codified such that it's really hard on the workers and completely guaranteed.
Every last dollar has been squeezed out of the worker.
Exactly.
So it occurs to me I was in the wrong pickup location. That's why I jumped over here. So now I'm really going to do it. I'm getting on my bike, throwing the chains on the frame, and then we're going to commercial. Ready? Do it.
3, 2, 1.
Go!
Get the fuck out of here! Go! You guys saw that beautiful graffiti, different kind of dirt.
More graffiti.
Wow.
Your mom is out of order is probably like star of the show for a couple Twitch streams I've seen now.
Yeah, but Lomi says NPCs pulling you out of the screens is rude.
It is rude, yeah.
It is rude. But there are some really rude people on this station,
Rude. My gigs. Turn
that baby in.
What did I get?
Payout. You got gold.
Gold.
Hey.
Gold.
What's that, like 1K?
Yeah, I missed the 20-second timer, but I got the next tier down. That's good though. A couple more like that, I could get myself an EVA suit.
There's gold in them there gigs.
Gold in the gigs. So yeah, I think Corey was saying this, but some of these jobs have a buy-in cost. And in some cases, just think of that as almost like collateral for the thing that you're delivering, because if you run off with the thing you're delivering, they want to get compensated. So you put your money on the line to deliver their expensive bauble or whatever. But part of it is also just extortional, taking advantage of the gig worker. Let's see.
Yeah, and the idea is it's running this very complex algorithm that can, in the same way that like Uber or whatever can run this complex algorithm for, like, to know exactly how far things are traveling and how much they can pay, etc. Gig Nexus is running an algorithm about how much, basically a market algorithm, like how much are people willing to take jobs for, how much they're willing to pay, whatever, and it's just like squeezed it down to the very bare minimum.
Yeah.
Ultimate efficiency, but not on the side of the worker.
I've seen a couple of people asking in the Discord about mining asteroids.
So before I answer that question, I think maybe this is a good time for me to take this Floatilla job because it's a fairly long transit time. And while we're in transit, we can answer some questions.
That's a good. See? Great. Good planning.
All right. So I will grab this. I have to go sweet talk Queen Abby Zavala on the Flotilla.
Queen?
She sounds like she's going to be tough.
She's going to whoop your ass, Dan.
Yeah, I'm picturing Queen Latifah, but she's
God, I hope
she's out on Flotilla, and I need to kind of romance my way into her life to get some secrets. So I'm going to take that gig. I've got, how long do I have for this? 6 hours to do it, which feels like a bit of a stretch, but let's see what happens. Take the gig. Paid our $250. Somebody's probably coming to insult me, so I'm going to run before they find me. See you, Zen. Let's get over to the... Get away from me. No.
Everybody likes to insult the workers in this. joint. It's like, I get it. I'm using Gig
Look
Nexus.
at that gig worker. Sick him. Do I need anything before I take this long trip?
So we kind of developed a pricing model for these gigs that involves like, you're going to get way more money if you have to board another ship. You're going to get more money the further you travel, stuff like that. But truthfully, right now, it's not exactly in balance with salvage, which can be pretty lucrative. And for now, that's fine, because we want people to either be able to salvage or gig. Eventually, we want gigging to be the step up from salvage. The idea being, okay, you've built this ship, now you want to use it, and you're in this other class of society where you can go around doing these jobs. So probably the pricing will go up. By that I mean the rewards will go up for gigging.
Someone
Eventually.
pointed out that the salvaging with a license currently is the most lucrative for them.
It is for me too, I think.
And black market salvage is not. Which sounds like a little bit of a balance issue we'll have to address, because black market, if you're in the black market and you're good, like you should be making good money, but risking danger of imprisonment or something. The licensed salvager should make decent money, but it's an outlay to get in there. Like you have to pay $5,000 for the license. The gig worker thing, I kind of think of that as like you're hard on your luck and you're just doing whatever people ask you to do. I don't know if that should be very lucrative, but maybe, like, you're right. There are some jobs that just only high rollers could do anyway, so they should get paid a lot.
Well, anything with a ship, right? Like that's a whole step up. You own your own whole ship.
True. We don't own our whole ship. We have a $17,000 mortgage due in like 3 hours. So I don't know how we're going to pay that. I don't think we are going to pay that.
Nope.
Not with this job.
So people also ask about the mortgage a lot. Why is it so expensive, etc. Part of that is for balance reasons, but we also talked about it lore-wise. And tell me if I'm boring you guys with the lore, but it's been kind of my job to think about this stuff. But we think
if you don't like
it,
lore, you're in the wrong game.
we think about it as like, in the same way that getting a mortgage on a house isn't just about having money. It's also about having like a credit score and certain social things in place. Like taking that predatory model and making it even more predatory involves this idea that like the bank, or our GSOs in this case, like they can stratify culture and society by being like only certain kinds of people can that we trust can enter into this next strata, and then they have you as like on the hook basically for the rest of your life. So the mortgage isn't really something we think about you paying off necessarily. It's like they're granting you the freedom of not being a wage slave essentially, but they're still going to make you a debt slave. Now eventually you'll be able to even break those chains and be a real badass. We don't know how that'll work. Maybe you'll make a lot of money and sell off your mortgage or something. But
yeah, I think like the sort of Firefly story is kind of what I'm hoping to achieve as your captain's origin. Like you broke the shackles of like mainstream life. You own your ship for the most part free and clear, and like now you're just trying to make ends meet without being on somebody else's leash.
yeah,
The mortgage is a type of leash, but it's a loose one. Is this guy going to hit me? I think we're going to be okay. Space jazz.
base jazz.
Ships passing in the night. Oh, and what's that up there? Crimson Fortress. I'm excited
Great
to
names.
see. Yeah, I love the names. And I think a few of them, there were some bugs in the name list which might have prevented a few of them from showing up. I think I'm going to overtake this guy. He's going the same way I am.
Can you zoom out a bit? I forgot where you are.
Oh, I'm on my way to Floatilla. Like, he's going the same way I am, but slower. And he's in my lane. Get out of my lane.
Pass on the right, not on the left, or whatever. I
This is
forgot which one.
Nigerian culture. Don't you pass on the?
Ooh, that's true.
No, you do pass on the right in British driving, don't you?
You're just going the perfect speed to dock this guy. Why don't you just give him say a
Get
little
a
hello?
little love tap.
No, don't do it. I don't know. Do it if you want. You can dock people now. I don't know if you guys have done this yet, but you can dock folks.
Someone on Discord says this is space. You pass on the bomb.
Do not pass in their wake. That's all you want to make sure.
Well, with RCS, you'll be fine. But yeah, if you're behind this dude and he torches up, oh boy.
I think that talk of the progression of the game though was good because some other people are asking about like the different starts and if you're going to be able to start in different locations. I think
That's up in the air right now, actually.
yeah.
My original intention was yes.
Yeah.
Like in a perfect world, that yellow screen, either that screen or a similar screen to that, would be you choosing your starting location and your starting career, like basically a full background story. The logistics of starting in a new place versus this one, it depends on if it's easy enough for us to do or not.
And there's some balance issues and progression issues to think about with that too. It's like we've pretty closely designed the beginning game around OKLG, so we'd have to do the same thing around every other start, which is not impossible, but
yeah, I mean, after everything we learned with K-Leg, maybe it'll be fine. Like anyone who's followed me since Neo Scavenger knows I love to say I just don't want to make a promise I can't keep. So we won't promise new starting locations. I hired Corey for that line.
Everybody gets mad at me, and I'm like, oh, Dan didn't do anything.
We can just offload Corey when he lies too much, and then buy a new liar.
But yeah, once we've got the other locations built out, someone said it would be cool if the modders could adjust the start locale. And I think that's probably something that will be moddable by release, I'd reckon.
It's a pretty good chance. I mean, I would like to make the system itself moddable, and I don't see any obstacles to doing that yet, which means probably your starting location. Actually, come to think of it, you can currently mod your starting location if you want to. I think that's just a setting in one of the interactions or career entries in the JSON. So you could probably do it now if you wanted to. You could change it so that you start docked with K-Leg. You could change it so that you start outside of Atlantis or Tharsis landing on Mars or basically any of those places. But there's nothing there, so you wouldn't want to. There's something there. It's like 3 rooms and a reactor and an air pump. All right, we are at the Floatilla. Gonna go find my queen. Oh, see, Chico says in the chat he's modded the starting location. So we have a resident expert in the modding community.
Yeah, talking about mods has just got Chico pretty excited, I reckon. That eyeballs and hands emojis put in the Discord is it's quite something.
Give me mods. I think that's what that says. All right.
I think that's the right vibe. So yeah, this is the Floatilla.
Oh, there she is. Where's she going? Hey, where you come back here? Oh, she came right to me.
Back here. I love you.
And what did she just do? Oh, I had to take a step back to reply to her.
Wow. So right now, the current patch, we are overhauling the social system. So the stuff we're about to see is actually quite temporary, but I reckon a lot of people probably haven't messed with the social stuff a lot.
I think the people who have, they say they're a little confused by it, and then there are some people who have just never seen it.
Yeah.
There are a couple people who are like, I get it, and like we say, it just needs a few tweaks to be a little bit more predictable and understandable, but they get the idea.
So the next patch, big feature patch, which is due in February, hopefully beginning, maybe middle, whatever, will include an overhaul of this system especially the combat side of it, not just like the chit chat side of it. But
Yeah, we call it social combat because it's basically like high stakes conversation where the outcome is really going to matter. And anyone who's played Neo Scavenger, like this UI layout is basically the combat layout from Neo Scavenger with a few slight changes. And the moves you choose down here in the actions are like battle moves from Neo Scavenger. So just to kind of give some context to what Corey's saying, this is essentially combat, but instead of flying tackles, it's flying hugs or loves, like flirtatious comments and things like that.
yeah, the basic gist of it in its simplest sense is you have all these. Imagine having multiple health bars instead of one. You know, achievement, altruism, autonomy, contact, etc.
Yeah.
And they go up and down based on your whatever little social move you do here and
Yeah,
their
like
actions,
flirt.
and you can see it. Yeah.
You can see it here. Like if I do a flirt, my intimacy will get better, my privacy will get worse. Their intimacy will get better, their privacy. This is a fairly symmetric move. This one does contact. This one doesn't have like an emotional payload, but this is like me trying to do my job, which is to get this information out of her. She's a stranger. We can see up here. She sees us as a stranger. We see them as a stranger, so we've never met. And based on the personality traits I chose at the beginning, comedian, charismatic, leader, gregarious, glutton, all those things, you'll see certain things show up here or not. So I can flirt because I am gregarious. There are a few other ways I could flirt too, but in this case, I got it because I'm gregarious. I can ask them what's up because I'm charismatic. Changing the subject to jobs, asking about skills, and attempting to extract. Those are things anyone could do. So there's no parenthetical reference after them, or I could leave. I think we're gonna just. Well, should I flirt? Do we come in hot in this one? She's looking pretty.
Intimacy connection high. That's pretty good, but it's going down.
That in a way that works against me because she's not craving intimacy, and she might.
Well, if you ask what's up, you'll probably get a good scout. The other thing about this system is you don't know anything about people when you first meet them, right? Like just like in real life, when you first see somebody, you're gonna maybe know one thing about them, you know, like if you'll make an assumption and maybe it's right or whatever. Same thing here, like you know one little thing about Queen Abby Zavala here. Probably you've assumed it in this case correctly about their intimacy, but you know anything else? Like she might have really low self-respect or privacy or whatever. So you can kind of scout them out by doing kind of low risk moves. And
I don't know how we got. Oh, probably because she did the spacer superstition on us. We got like a little bit of a read on her personality and her mood. So that's probably why we know she's a finicky person, which is bad for us because she basically everything has to be just so. And she's a little bit intimately fulfilled. And we can also tell a little bit just by looking at her face. So characters in this game, they'll change expression broadly if they're in a good mood, a bad mood, terrified, or in pain. So you can see I kind of look like I'm in a good mood. She doesn't look like she's in a great mood. But we'll do like a scouting move here. We'll see what's up. And God, I'm in a pile of people. This pile of people thing is a physics issue. We have to get people so that they can't occupy the same space at the same time.
So you say what's up. She shoots the breeze back. That's pretty good. Her intimacy went all the way up. That's nice.
Wow.
Shoot the breeze is a pretty powerful move.
Yeah. We could reciprocate.
In real life as well.
Original dark joke. So this one knocks her intimacy down a little bit and mine, but brings her contact up and my altruism and meaning up. Or I could shoot.
Meaning is actually hard to bring up in general. But
that's why comedians are so valuable.
Yeah.
If I shoot the breeze, her contact and intimacy go up. I'm going to go for the joke, I think.
Let's do it.
Let's see if I learn anything about her other stats. You know what, though? If our goal is to basically get her to see us as a romantic partner, we want her intimacy to keep going up with us. We want her
this is kind of a tech question, but will it work if it's already maxed out, you know, because it's based on stat changes?
I think so. I guess we'll find out, right? So let's do this one because it keeps the intimacy flowing up instead of down.
We got a question in the chat here. And I don't know the answer to it. Does it change anything if you flirt gregarious versus flirt lustful?
No, those are like keys that unlock that move, but it's the same move whether gregarious gives it to you or flirt. In the future, there may be moves where it's like flirt aggressively or flirt politely. Like those will be different moves. But the parentheses just mean because you chose this trait, it's one of the traits that lets you do this move.
And in a way, actually, one of the questions way earlier was about adding more tooltips to the starting menu. And actually, if you play the game and you see the different parentheses, then you can kind of figure out what sets of moves you get from the different traits.
Oh yeah, so we should be communicating this kind of information that we're seeing now back in the red trait selection screen so that you know if you choose leader, for example, it's one of the things you would need to flirt because like a really shy person couldn't flirt. Or not that shy people can't flirt, but shy people are not prone to flirting because they're a little too shy. That's kind of how the game is designed around these personality traits and social moves. Is like certain personalities can do certain moves and can't do other ones. So a treacherous person, treacherous person is a bad example. Let's say a loyal person can't betray somebody else without a really good reason and without us basically making an exception for them. I'm going to flirt though, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm doing my job.
Did you see that Queen Abby here is a pirate from Hongdao? That's tight, dude. She rules.
Yeah, I mean, more lore coming at you, folks, but Hongdao is basically the Elysium of our game. The wait list to get on there is years long and, tens of thousands of dollars, or you have to basically become a servant to one of the landed elite that live there already. So
Which is also a big deal, like at least within a certain class, I imagine. Like, yes, I get to be a servant on Hongdao. It's like
all my needs are attended to, and I just have to do what I'm told.
Yeah, that's dark. I don't like that. I mean, I do like it.
I'm gonna wiggle my eyebrows. Let's see what happens. Hey, we're acquaintance level.
She chuckled politely though. That's a snub.
I went too far too fast.
Don't you wiggle them eyebrows?
All right, let's give her a second to browse her social app and remember her family.
Oh Lord, this is too close to home. Wiggle her eyebrows, she gets her phone out. That's brutal.
She's starting to write a letter. Come on, all right. I gave you 2 moves there. Let's get back into things here.
She's like, yes.
Fine. You like my jokes? No, she doesn't like my jokes. It's going to take some bravery to flirt with her again after that. We still don't know what kind of mood she's in.
We have terrible scouting on her. I would just keep asking what's up and just go through that loop for a minute until we get a scout.
It's like 4 non-blondes here. Did anybody get my 90s joke?
I get it.
I think I'm a bit too young for that. I didn't,
Just barely too young for that.
We get it, Josh. You're hot. You're young.
You're hot and you're young. We know. Well, she likes chatting. There's that. Still didn't learn anything about her.
Shoot the breeze. Chat's just screaming, shoot the breeze. They're really not. But...
Hey, babe, what's up? Hey, babe, what's up?
Chat is asking about if NPCs die on your ship, then you can't remove the bodies yet. I think if you reload the game, though, the body goes, right?
Nope, I think it's still there. The only way to hack them out right now, and maybe I need to bump this up in the roadmap, is if you misname them in the JSON file, the game won't find them when it comes time to load the save, and then they just disappear. But I was thinking, let's just hold out long enough until the inventory overhaul comes in and you can drag things, and then we'll just have a way to drag them and probably dispose of them. But that's far enough off and people are running into it enough, and then there's a bug that causes a lot of people to die on K-Leg that maybe we just need to bite the bullet and do that sooner. even just like a right click dispose of body button that makes him disappear for now. All right, well, all right, I'll shoot the breeze this time. Let's see what happens.
I think it's funny that we're like trying to flirt with this person and honeypot them, and everyone's like, "How do you dispose of bodies?" Like, slow down, everybody.
They're thinking ahead. So, they're all, what is it, American Psycho?
Yeah.
Someone says death on K-Leg is a bug. I thought it was Underworld in action.
Could be.
Yeah, it's just always criminal Underworld. Anything that goes wrong with the game, it's like, yeah, just criminal Underworld.
Wizard did it, except it was the fixer. Well, we're just having a great time shooting the breeze here.
Yep. You guys probably don't want to hear this, but a huge part of this game will be non-violent. Like, we do want there to be a whole course of play that's just like, you're a diplomat, or you're a second story man, or whatever, Now that sounds boring, but it'll be more fun once we get this social combat thing in order, which is going to be much more. So right now there's basically no win or lose stakes necessarily to these interactions, or at least not a clear one. And very soon it'll be like, yes, I pulled this off, or no, I failed in this interaction. So.
Oh man, someone in Discord put Breeze has died of gunshot wounds, because I think we shot the Breeze so many times.
Very good, very good.
Riddled with holes at this point.
Hey, we learned that she feels supported in her family. If you shoot the Breeze long enough, you learn about someone's family.
She, cool. Well, we're going to flirt. I'm actually getting a pretty narrow range of options each. I guess we're talking about the same thing over and over again, so I guess it makes sense that I only have a few options each time. She's downplaying my flirt, and I'm stuck. I have to bail out of the subject into something else. Let's get them to talk about themselves.
Sure. So you have like a web of social options, or like a constellation of social options that sort of develops based on your skills, their skills, the situation at hand. And Dan just navigated to the end of one little bit of that constellation. If you think about like a tree, he got to the very tippy top of one branch and then went back to the root there. And it'll be different every time you interact, So these are pretty not bespoke. These are pretty procedural, these little interactions.
Oh, someone's asking about the keeps control in conversations. That's a good one to sort of talk about, I think.
Yeah. So control is when you get to choose the next move, and if you choose a move that keeps control, you get to choose again when it's done. And those tend to be like one-shotters that they don't have a reply to. But that can be handy if like you want to make sure they don't do what she just did to me, which is, okay, well, I'm done talking, and then walks away. Because when it's her turn, she can choose to leave the conversation, or she can choose to continue talking to you or insult you or whatever. So think of it like initiative in combat, because again, this is basically modeled after combat. I'm just stalking her through the stage. I feel like a total creep.
This job is not going well. So it's like a ball, like a conversation ball that goes back and forth, which is true of real conversation, right? You say something, they say something, you say something, and you can also say like, oh, and another thing. For a little bit, back to where we were at the beginning of stream. I haven't seen a stagger in probably 2 or 3, 4 minutes, so
that's good to hear.
Yeah, so back on track. Speaking of, we're gonna keep fighting through this social interaction, or do you want to?
I'll give it a few more whacks, and then I'll attempt to extract and see what happens. I don't think it'll work unless I'm romantic, right?
Yeah, it won't work unless you're lovers. But how can you be lovers if you can't be friends?
But yeah, the statuses get revealed when they change, right? So like if you boost someone up high enough that they go into the next sort of fifth of the bar, that's when you get to see it, right?
Yeah. When you make a change happen or basically if you're watching them while a change happens, you now know that thing about them. So if they suddenly get a little bit happier or a little bit more intimately fulfilled, that'll now appear on their character sheet until it changes again when you're not watching.
So Remilson on stream says just spam flirt, right? And sometimes that does work, but the way the AI is built is that it's going to chase its most desperate need at that moment. So if you're spamming flirt and you get their intimacy all the way up, they're not gonna want to respond in the same way again, right? So they'll respond it like, because let's say you fulfill their intimacy need, now they're gonna be responding in some other way, which might involve just walking away, you know?
Yeah. It's
So
like
it's actually
they're full because they've eaten a giant meal and you keep handing them spaghetti and meatballs and they're like, thanks, but I don't want it.
you're like, I already ate, right?
Yeah.
So the system is actually more responsive and chaotic than it is deterministic right now, which is sort of
Good and
what we're
bad.
going for. Yeah, like that's sort of true to life, but also sometimes not. It's sort of a tough beast that we're wrestling with.
We want it to be probably more like 60 to 80% deterministic. So you can plan moves, you know what's going to happen, but there's just enough randomness that you can't know for sure. I decided to undock here and do a little bit of salvaging. Maybe somebody will wear on her a bit and she'll come back to my arms.
Maybe she'll just chase you down in her own ship and be like, I love you, it's true.
I miss you already. What we really need, like mechanically speaking, what we really need is for somebody else on that station to just like knock her down a few pegs and then us to swoop in and save her. But the chances of that happen, like I don't think we can engineer that to happen. It just has to happen. Otherwise, she is so intimately fulfilled that we would just make her annoyed by advancing anymore. So I'm just going to spend some time getting stuff off of this derelict, maybe come back and check on her in a bit and see if there's any more chance for talking or if we've basically botched this job.
I mean, lore-wise, what happened is you took this honeypot job, you got there and instantly found out that she was completely fulfilled. Like your job was to sort of like make her fall in love with you, and you get there and she's like already in love with someone else.
Yeah, she's basically got armor on for that. So,
and you're like, well, this is going to be a tough one.
Also, I'm not as suave as I thought I was. So.
Yeah.
All right. 270 kilometers to this derelict. It's pretty far out from K-Leg, so it might actually be in some pretty good shape.
You're hungry, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know if you can buy food at the Floatilla, so I figure this also maybe give me a chance at getting some food.
You didn't buy any to start?
I bought one and I ate right when I created the character, but I guess it wasn't enough to tide me over for more than an hour or two.
Ooh, Brigands asked a good thing in Discord. Will there ever be a point where you'll be able to invite someone back to your ship to hang out and take them with you? So that's sort of like not employing them, but the opposite of the get off my ship move that you can do right now.
That's a great question, yeah.
That sounds like something we'd want to support. I don't know.
Standard Blue Bottle Games answer.
I don't want to promise something I can't deliver, but I like it.
Well, we do have some plans in place to get people on your ship that aren't on your crew, right? So
that's true.
Like ferrying a diplomat from one place to another is a job we're working on. I guess it's the only one I can think of right now, but I mean, there's no reason why people can't be on your ship. Well, I mean, mechanically, there has to be a pledge. There has to be a reason they're on your ship. So we would have to design it, whatever it is. Yeah. But
invite for a drink is a move right now in the game that doesn't make a lot of sense because they don't actually follow up and get a drink. But that move could give them a pledge to follow you, and then you go get a drink, and then you guys have it together, and then the pledge is fulfilled. And it could be something like that. But we would have to design something like that because right now they are forbidden from entering another ship unless it's A, an emergency, or B, they're the police and they're questioning you.
Or they're your crew.
Or they're your crew.
So just before we leave this what we're working on right now with social combat is a sort of encounter a little deeper than what we just did, which was more chit chat, which is like now we're in a strict negotiation with good and bad outcomes, and it's going to be actual social combat that you win or lose. We're designing the interface for it. The system's already in place, but it's basically going to be like I have to bring their intimacy to this specific point before their altruism falls to this specific point, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be a much more careful about what you choose because the win and lose states are a lot more clear. So it'll feel a lot more like basically puzzly and deterministic than what we were just doing. It'll be a little less role playing, a little bit more strategy.
Yeah.
And that'll feel probably a little closer to what people recognize as combat. And hopefully that'll be launched in the most recent patch. The next patch, I should say. We already have the shell, and it's fun. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you let yourself get into the character and just kind of like flesh out the story that the skeleton in this message log is telling, you can tell some interesting stories. They're sometimes a little bit bonkers or wacky, but that's also kind of fun. There's a question, is there a plan to have any kind of social status come from the quality or size of your ship, even if it's only represented by being able to pull some kind of impress move? Kind of. Idea. I think we've talked about like the diplomat job, for example, like ferrying a diplomat requiring a certain class of accommodation. And we also talked about valuing a ship outside of just money, but like what's the rating of this ship? Is it in good repair? Does it have good equipment on it? So those things are coming, and I think if you can say a ship is a good ship or bad ship, like objectively, there may be a way for us to basically give you a brag or somebody to say, wow, that's a nice ship kind of move.
Somebody said you left the airlock open on the Floatilla, so...
Oh, damn. Did I?
That's what somebody said in chat, so...
I guess we'll find out if Queen is dead. If the Queen is dead.
You're like, okay, good news and bad news. I wasn't able to extract information out of her.
Was that information on her PDA or something? Because she's not going to tell me.
Just so you know, we're at 1 hour and 26 on our stream. Did we have a hard or even soft out on this?
Hard out is 2, soft out maybe sooner than that. Maybe do you want me to give 15 minutes in this derelict and see what happens, and then we'll answer a few more questions and call it?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right. Another lamp.
Josh, you're going to have to do questions. For this entire time, I haven't been able to see the Discord chat.
No, it's fine. So we got a question in Discord about reasons to improve your ship outside of pure practicality. And I think definitely by full release, what we want the game to be about is making your ship, and making it your own, and painting it colors and having a chair that's your chair, and just really feeling like, yeah, this is my ship. And feel like it's cool to own the ship,
Yeah, my favorite moment in the Firefly story arc is the Out of Gas episode where they basically show the beginnings of the Firefly crew. He finds Serenity in a junkyard or like a used spaceship lot, and he's walking through it, and there's like holes in the floor, and he's like, a little bit of elbow grease, and I could get this thing up and running and customize it just to my liking. And maybe second to that is the kind of Han Solo story of like, I acquired this ship and I've made a lot of special modifications to it, and it's just my style now. I want to be able to live that out in this game, so I'm going to be aiming towards that goal.
And that'll be a combination of mechanical and non-mechanical stuff, too few games. This is a Will Wright point that I learned, but too few games basically let you sort of express yourself through building or whatever. And we want your ship to just be an expression of you, right? Like these floors, this color, this shape is mine, and I designed it. And that can be non-mechanical, you know. Like I put Van Hummel interiors in here because I like red. And eventually, when right now, there's just frankly not enough stuff to make that possible, or not enough maybe expressive stuff.
Yeah,
But
variety.
yeah, variety, right? But we have a patch coming up where we're gonna basically double or triple the amount of parts in the game, and a lot of that might just be cosmetic stuff. And you're gonna have to do microtransactions to pay. No, I'm just kidding. No, our goal, and we talked about this a lot, is like it would be really cool for us if people were just like, you know how like there's like a subreddit that's like rate my build or like rate my desk setup, and people are like, ooh, nice, you know, like we want that for like ships. Like you post it, you're like, ooh, check this out, and everyone's like, oh, nice, I like how you whatever put like checkered floors in your bathroom, and then you know that's just self-expression.
Kind of. There's a little bit of that already if you look on like
I
the
was
Steam
gonna say,
screenshots.
like it's one of my favorite things about the community is that people are already being creative with the little. I don't want to say the little. We've given them a fair bit, but it's not as much as it could be, and people are being pretty creative with it, and it's really cool. And yeah, if you've built something cool in the game, show us, post it. You know, post it on our socials, post it in the Discord. Like, we love to see it. We really do.
Some of the stuff that's in the game now, like Naiba did a ton of builds and was showing off the stuff that he did. And he taught us things about what the game could do. And it's like, well, we should lean into that and, you know, make that an official system or like lend more support to the player doing that. So the more of that stuff we learn from you guys, the better the game can be for you and for us.
In terms of actually answering the question, because I was sort of meandering there, there will be a ship rating system in relatively short order. That's like you go and get your ship appraised for like both a value amount and a more sort of I don't know how to explain it. We have a ship rating system in place where it's like they look at the quality of the parts as well as the sort of like quality of the hull, and then give you a 2-part rating. And that appraisal will let you get better and worse jobs. And I imagine some people will just try to build ships and get them better appraised just as their entire game loop, and then sell them back to like a used car lot or whatever.
Yeah.
I believe that's patch like 11 or something.
Yeah, one of the people in the community already like goes to the derelicts and just fixes them up and then just leaves the fixed up derelicts. Yeah. And that's like so cool to hear about. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think Naiba's big thing early on. Was it Naiba? I think it was Naiba or Arclight. Somebody early on was just like making the lives of K-Leg's denizens better through like installing beds and giving them rooms and things like that. So I think different types of people come at it with different goals or different things they want to see happen. I guess in the Sims kind of way, like everybody has a different story they want to kind of tell with the simulation tool that we've given them.
Yeah, and our goal is to just make as many of those play styles supported as possible. You know, like it's
a story generation machine.
Right, ideally, yeah. Somebody in chat just said, I've seen myself as a gig target. That's amazing.
I didn't think that was supposed to happen, but maybe I didn't make that explicit, and it can happen. Uh-oh.
That's so cool. Like you're just looking on there and like someone's trying to come honeypot you, or like someone's trying to like deliver something to you. That'd be awesome.
The part you requested, sir. Oh, thanks. I was looking for that. I'd like to gig request somebody get that from the other side of the wall for me.
Yeah. Those thrusters can be an issue. People have been asking about floating outside your ship and repairing stuff from outside. That's a bit tricky.
Zero G was a thing that was on the list of potential features which would have helped in that case. It basically lost out to a bunch of other things, which hopefully everyone looking at the roadmap can agree were more important, like traveling to other places in the star system, or better inventory management, or combat and that sort of thing. So I don't know what that's going to mean for like getting outside your ship and like doing EVA, like literally EVA. But yeah, I'm not going to say it won't ever get addressed, but I don't have a plan right now for how that's going to work. So at the moment, we just have to carve a hole in the wall and do it the hard way.
Yeah, it's weird. Like Zero G is such a crucial part of space sims and just space shows in general, at least the good ones. But in a weird way, it was just like so outside of the goals of our game that we decided to maybe put it on the back burner.
Well, it's also so out of the wheelhouse of game developers to do like pathfinding in Zero G. How does Zero G pathfinding work? You know, there's a million like tile-based walking around pathfinding systems that you could use, and we could just borrow that and move on. But Zero G pathfinding and pathfinding with airlocks, it's like that's a problem not many games have to deal with, and you're kind of out in virgin territory figuring that out as you go.
Yeah, and the other fact of our game is that we've reduced everything into 2D space. Like, obviously, there should be, space. The coolest thing about space is that it's multi-directional. If we've all read Ender's Game and all that, like, the up and down don't really matter and all that. But for the convention's sake, we've reduced everything to like a 2D plane. So even if we did Zero G, it would be kind of robbed of the cool part of it, which would be like going up and down and around and all that. So
and there's a game that does that, like Stationeers is that 3D. It's in many ways it's like Ostranauts' shipbuilding and ship fixing and salvaging loop in 3D, and or even like Shipbreaker for that matter are both kind of in that area. And if that's what you want, like those are great games. You should check them out. I personally felt like the 3D made things fiddly, I guess, like spatial awareness, what's going on around you, what's going on behind you, constantly having to turn around and kind of like keep everything in mind. That's a different experience than what I was trying to get with this, which is like at least you can see everything on screen at once. And for someone who isn't looking for hardcore orbiter style space sim flight mechanics, but still kind of wants to feel like all the details in the science matter, like this is more like that on that end of the spectrum. It's not ultra hard science, but it's also not like fluffy and hand wavy science. This is hopefully the Goldilocks zone for somebody. It is for me. So
me too. You want to speed run some of these questions before we're out here?
Yeah.
Any plans to add unique traits to the game that will mix up your needs in a serious way, such as being delusional or psychopathic, or maybe even earn them after trauma?
I think that makes sense. Like there's kind of something like that in there now. If you take enough coffee or if you take enough alcohol, you'll get certain status effects on you that they mess with your mood, and like taking that a step further. So like, I mean, we already do have masochistic and I think we have sadistic in there, but yeah, things like that also make sense. It's just a matter of like, if we add them, we have to support them somehow. So I want to make sure that they actually get used by the game in meaningful ways.
Sweet idea though, like playing as River or something like that.
Yeah, like every now and then you lose. I don't know if I'd want you to lose control, but you lose like certain capacities you had before.
I will say right now the character's stats are overstable, and we're going to address that. Like, basically, you don't have to pay too much attention to your stats over there because they never leave the top 2 green.
Yeah.
That's just a balance thing right now, or something we've put on hold. But it will. You're gonna have to manage that stuff a lot more carefully in the final release.
Yeah.
Which could play into what you're talking about. Next question. Well, this is just an observation. I feel like being reduced to 0 security should be more severe. I agree. In fact, we at one point had plans to, when anything gets reduced to 0, something happens. I don't know if we'll do that.
I think it actually, it may be
ahead.
a bug that it doesn't cripple you to be at 0 security, because like in a conversation at 0 security, you basically can't say anything except quiver uncontrollably. You know, that's the way it's designed right now. But there are probably like physical actions you shouldn't be able to do and you can right now. That maybe that's as designed, but should be designed better.
Somebody says look at our trauma for 0G pathfinding outside the submarines, or maybe check that out. We look at barotrauma sometimes. Dan played it for the first time recently,
Yeah,
so it's on our radar.
I haven't been outside the ship yet,
Our
but
sonar is explosive decompression. Sorry, I'm rushing you through this, Dan. I know
that's
you don't
okay.
like. Is explosive decompression planned to be added?
We do have fire and explosions planned for later, and part of that is overpressurizing containers. I think. I think so. I'd have to double check. But as far as like a hole opens up in your wall and stuff flies out of it, I'm not sure yet. I feel like I've read conflicting information on explosive decompression actually launching things out of your ship versus not in reality.
Yeah.
Like it would probably depend a lot on the physics of the ship and how much air is going through that hole, how big the hole is, and that may be a little bit too much for us to simulate. But maybe there's something we can do to kind of fake it enough so that it seems legit. I don't know. It's not like specifically that feature, like stuff flying out the airlock when you open it, is not planned. But if it's something, we call it ground fruit. If it's something that just looks like it's easy enough to do, if we just reach out and grab it, we'll probably do it.
Next question, or just an observation. We're actually not able to see our entire ship sad face. Yeah, that's something we've talked about, whether we want you to be able to see the outside of your ship and customize it. Obviously, everybody loves the way spaceships look, so do we.
Yeah.
We don't know where that would fall on the roadmap. We'd probably have to hire an entire artist to do that.
So like at the end of the roadmap, the game is 1.0. Approximately in late 2022, early 2023 is when we picture that happening. That doesn't have to be the end of development on the game. That's just the end of
certainly won't be, right? Like, there's
yeah, I mean,
stuff. Yeah.
if I get hit by a bus or something, maybe, but
no.
But yeah, I mean, there's room for stuff to come in after the roadmap, and we have a long list of things that didn't make the roadmap cut, and a lot of what you're bringing up are actually on that list. But it's all just down to like what can we achieve in the time we have. So.
And the money we have.
And the money, the quest for more money.
Question: how difficult is it to implement Steam cloud saves? Moving from desktop to laptop easily really would be great. I'm too stupid to answer that question.
My hunch is it's probably not hard. I've never done it before, but the way Steam stuff seems to work, we just implement one of their libraries. And then as long as when we save the game, we talk to that library, it does all the magic for us. So I'm hoping it'll be like that. And like that's the kind of stuff towards the end of development we'll probably add. I don't know if Steam cares that our save games are like 80 megabytes each. That may be an issue, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it.
Any questions on Discord?
Yeah, there's a couple here actually. Let me. Firstly, a funny comment. GoFundMe to crowdsource Dan's cyborg body after he was tragically hit by a bus in the game.
Good to know you guys are watching out for me. Thanks.
The question of mining is coming up again. If you wanted to briefly discuss that
Yeah.
alternative ways of making money.
I'm actually going to save and exit here. The career kiosk at the beginning of the game is sort of meant to tease where we might go, time permitting. So before we do anything, we have to be able to go to different places in the system. We have to be able to do all of the things a shipbreaker should be able to do to even legitimize starting as a shipbreaker. We're almost to the point where the shipbreaker is feeling legit. You still can't go everywhere in the system though, so that'll have to be done. But assuming we get like K-Leg squared away and you can fly to Mars, and then Mars feels like K-Leg in terms of complexity, and then there's maybe like 5 other places like that. We can start to look at things like you see here in the labor department. Like maybe we should have somebody start as a prisoner, and like they start the game breaking out of prison, or they start the game like their first day on probation after getting out of prison, or like starting out as a law enforcement officer or as a pirate, or like there are different careers with their own kind of game loops that we think would be fun to explore. But I don't want to start tackling one of those before I've finished delivering the shipbreaker experience, because everything we learn finishing one is going to be necessary to build the other one completely too.
Yeah, it's a very. I know it's the first thing you see in the game, which is probably our problem, but all these down here are like, we kind of think about them at this point as like post-launch, like starting the game as a pirate or a criminal or a bartender.
Yeah.
But you can play the game as a bartender or criminal. I guess really the question though they're asking is like, will there be mechanics for getting on an asteroid and extracting stuff from it?
I think that's an early favorite. If I was going to choose the next career, mining is pretty high on the list. I think another one that could be really interesting with the mechanics we've got already is like a private investigator / detective type. Like figuring out what happened to a missing person, or like solving a crime. I think
Expanse.
Like the Expanse, yeah. Yeah, I mean there's a couple, but whenever I've played a space sim game, frequently I lean on the mining because it's solitary and I don't like other people.
I think it definitely works with the mechanics. Imagine if you made a massive block of walls.
That's true, yeah.
We could do something like that, I think. So it's definitely a realistic thing that we could.
We are kind of mining derelicts right now. What's the difference between a derelict and an asteroid?
Yeah.
Any other?
That way.
We got a comment about the meteoric docking of cops.
So they, if they crash into you while docking and it does damage, that's a bug. They are supposed to dock at safe speeds. So I need to figure out what's going on there. I watched it happen. I think it was Splattercat, or no, it was Bikeman I was watching, and a cop was basically decelerating as they should, and then stopped for like 3 seconds, and then continued decelerating. And because of that, they crashed at like 200 or 300 meters per second. And so to me, it seems like there's a bug that made the AI stop decelerating and like think of doing something else, and then try and resume it. But then it only gave itself enough room to stop basically at docking range. So I need to figure out what's going on there. But they're not supposed to crash into you at damaging speeds unless they're going somewhere and you're in their way. They'll go right through you. They're not smart enough to go around yet.
Or if you run away.
Well, that's true too. If you try and do evasive maneuvers, they will crash into you because they're not very good at docking while you're evasively maneuvering them.
Sort of like running away from a cop in real life. That might lead.
It ends the way it should. Everybody dies.
Yeah, it's just a little dangerous.
Well, ideally going forwards, I think the thing to tell people is we don't want that to be like a normal part of the game that you just get obliterated for no reason.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
We want it to be fun. We want you to keep being alive, and the fact that that's taking some people out is something that we're hearing, we're listening to, and we are trying to make moves to make it less common.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a slightly more complicated thing than than some of our other bugs because it involves the entire AI system for flight. So
Yeah, that, believe it or not, it's a lot better than it used to be, but it still has a ways to go.
A couple more questions from Discord, maybe, and then
There was one I saw earlier that I don't think I mentioned about being a pirate or potentially pirates boarding you. And they both sound like cool scenarios.
So the pirate question we kind of answered with the career kiosk thing we brought up. Boarding and combat, I think, are probably going to be around the same time.
the answer is yes in 1.0, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like, there will be,
because we have personnel combat coming a few milestones down the roadmap, and that is where, like, a conversation can flow into a fist fight, can flow into a gunfight, and back again. And you need that
gun, folks. Everybody loves guns.
Space guns. You need that piece in place before a pirate boarding action makes any sense at all, right? Like, they need to be able to threaten you with something other than harsh words.
They board you and they call you a doo-doo head and lower your
here comes a Reddit pirate ship. It's going to brigade you with insults. So, no, I think that piece has to come in at least first, and potentially ship-to-ship combat too, because, like, you're going to see them coming. You're going to want to identify whether they're a threat or not, and the tools for that are basically planned for the same time where ship-to-ship combat comes in. So I think that's where the final bit of that is going to finally be in place, more towards the end of the roadmap.
Yeah, and like the next place, like if we were to go Venus next, probably the people who are boarding you and chasing you down instead of cops would be pirates. Like areas like that are like a bit more lawless than here. There's not a lot of pirates in OKLG because it's all just pretty well controlled by IoT Miwa and the cops, who are basically the thugs of this particular region. But there will be more violent thugs in other regions, you know?
Yeah.
Or less violent. Like, it'll be probably over policed and probably not very violent around Mars, I would guess.
I think every place is going to have its bully. And it may be a law enforcement officer, it may be the government, it may be pirates, it may just be other people like you who see an opportunity to take advantage. Every place is going to have them, and every place will probably have a mix of them. Dogmen might be out.
Reavers.
You open a door, and who's on the other side of the door? The guy that you left in the cryo station. I guess, do we want to do maybe one more question and then we'll call it?
Yeah, we're all caught up here on Twitch pretty much.
I'm just looking back through Discord here. There was a lot of chatter on Discord. I'm trying to filter a question out.
Any plans for aliens? That's a nice one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so...
Yes, and yes, and yes.
It's the Neo Scavenger universe, and what that means is weird and unexplained things can happen. Are they aliens, or are they experiments, or something else? Not for me to say. I like to think of the answer to that question the same way X-Files deals with things. There's the Fox answer, there's the Scully answer. We don't necessarily know at the end of the episode whether it's the scientific explanation or if it's the folklore, urban legend explanation. But there's going to be stuff like that, absolutely. And
like a spectrum of it, right? Like, on the sciencey end, there's the Luska, which are sort of just like, sort of jellyfish.
Exobiology, basically. They are
discovered beneath
technically
Europa.
aliens. So.
It's like, yeah, it's hard to argue that's not an alien. Then again, there's something purple floating outside your ship. Is that an alien? I mean, what? And then all of a sudden you're like, what's an alien, right? This is the way we think about stuff at Blue Bottle Games, thanks to Dan's
it's probably not going to be aliens come in a giant mothership and threaten the solar system stability. and then humans have to fight a war against them. It's not going to be that kind of a game.
XCOM.
Yeah, but it is going to be the kind of game where an alien was reported to have been seen in a lab on Phobos, and that's all you've ever heard about it, and there's rumors of it, and then maybe it actually is there, but it's like traces of it. It's not like everywhere you go. It's not going to be Space Cantina from Star Wars.
That'd be so funny in this game. We should do that. Space Jazz.
We can do the jazz. I'm okay with that part of it.
Well, there was talking about the purple thing, purple jumpsuit. Someone apparently is driving them and saying that nothing happened when they wore it. There is something that's supposed to happen, just to confirm to people.
Yeah,
I think it's supposed to happen when you use the interaction to examine it.
Oh, there you go.
So it's a context option if you right-click on the jumpsuit to read more about it. And I looked at the way that was written, and the way it was written kind of sounds like you're wearing it, which might be why you guys are thinking. So maybe we need to go back and either rewrite that encounter, or we need to make that encounter happen when you put it on. But there's a second piece of like, does the game treat you differently while you're wearing it versus not? It should. I don't know if it does right now, but in the same way, like the 3 Dogman Moon t-shirt and Neo Scavenger worked, like it shouldn't be clear whether it is or isn't working just by wearing it, but you kind of get a vibe like it is. That's probably what it should do.
And the stuff that is all in that encounter and implied by some of the stuff you see in the world that's purple and floaty and all that, like that stuff will be further explored in the Supernatural patch, Lucky 13, once we get there.
Yeah, like we want stuff to happen to you, and like wearing something as auspicious as that probably means that the things that happen to you are either more common or more serious. I think we can probably make that happen, but it may not be doing much yet. All right.
A mysterious note to end the stream.
Yes, we'll leave on that mysterious note. But thank you all for coming to join us on Twitch and Discord, your channel of choice, and for spending your Saturday morning or evening, I guess, with us wherever you are. So we're pretty regularly on the Steam forums, on Discord. We still check BBG's official forums and the Reddit and Twitter, I think. So if you want to keep asking us questions, throw questions out in any of those places. We're not necessarily going to see it right away, but we usually try to get back to everyone who posts. So hope everyone has a good weekend.
Everybody asks about feedback. We do read it. We take it seriously.
Yeah, we're serious about it. We want to know what you're doing in our game and what you think of it. So.
Yeah, I actually have a little bot that like tells me whenever a new review comes in, so I can read it like right away. So we do take it seriously.
Yeah. The only thing we can say is be patient with such a small team and low budget, right? Like we're only a little bit bigger than Dan, basically. And I will say that we have a publisher and a roadmap now, and this year feels like the year where we really flesh everything out and get this thing to 1.0 with a planned early launch in next year. I think we're at the end of this year. So things will be coming a little bit quicker than what you're used to, but we are still a tiny little team with a little bitty budget. So
yeah, we
making a game we love.
We loom large, but we are in fact pretty small.
Yeah.
We just look big.
We are, in fact, technically smaller than Ubisoft.
Well, Dan left. Dan was a producer on Mass Effect and left to make this game. So, he's made some sacrifices to make a game he cares about and loves. So maybe keep that in mind as we work.
Don't oversell my sacrifice. It was a guilty pleasure to quit a job and do what I wanted to do. So.
What's your bank account say about that, though?
We'll ask my wife. Don't ask my wife, though, please. All right. We're going to let you all go. And thanks again for joining us. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.